So the small intestine extends from the pylorus of the stomach all the way to the cecum, which is this little pouch at the beginning of the large intestine. So it's this little bit here. So I'll just isolate the small intestine by fading away the large intestine, and you can see how it's this long convoluted tube, and its small intestine consists of three parts. The first part is known as the duodenum, and it's this short little C-shaped part here. And then you've got the second part called the jejunum, and the distal part is called the ileum. So it's not really important to clearly mark out the jejunum and the ileum, but you just need to know that the jejunum makes up the second part of the small intestine, and the ileum makes up the distal part, so the third part of the small intestine. So the jejunum roughly lies in the left upper quadrant, and the ileum roughly lies in the right lower quadrant, and it makes up the distal 3/5, whereas the jejunum makes up the proximal 2/5. But the duodenum is this first part, and it's this C-shaped part which emerges at the end of the stomach, at the pylorus of the stomach, and it curves round the head of the pancreas. So the pancreas is one of these three accessory organs of digestion that I mentioned in the first part of this tutorial. So this organ sits behind the stomach, as you can see here. So if I just fade away the other organs, you can see the pancreas, and you can see how it sits in this C-shaped part of the duodenum. So the head of the pancreas nests itself into this curve of the duodenum. So you've got ducts from the pancreas and ducts from the gallbladder, which open up into the duodenum. So this allows bile from the gallbladder and pancreatic secretions from the pancreas to enter into the duodenum, and this helps in digestion. So the gallbladder is this little structure here, which sits underneath the liver. So if you remember that triangular shaped liver which sat on the right side and covered a bit of the stomach. So the duodenum ends at about this point, where it then becomes the jejunum. So the jejunum forms the proximal 2/5 of the small intestine, and then the distal, so the last 3/5 are called the ileum. So as you can see, the small intestine is highly convoluted. There's all these folds, and it's really long and folded. So this really serves to increase the surface area. So it helps by having a larger surface area. There's much more possibility for absorption. So the small intestine is a major site for chemical digestion and absorption.